name is Carolina Gonzalez-Bunster. I was born on March 22nd, 1983, in the town of Greenwich in the state of Connecticut in the United States. Despite my thick American accent and having been born in the US, ironically, I don't feel American. And that's probably because my father and mother, Rolando and Monica, are Argentine and Uruguayan respectively. They too crossed a border at a very young age. They both went with their respective families to the island of the Dominican Republic, where they met, where they got married, and where they had kids at a very young age. My older brother Luis, my sister Adriana, and myself were the three musketeers. We did everything together. We had the best childhood you could imagine. We were the happiest of kids. We did everything every kid could ever dream of. We took baths together. We went on family cruises together. We would go see Santa Claus together every single year. And we went on many multiple family trips together. 8 years later, my parents had their fourth child, my younger brother Diego, and 3 years after that, they had their youngest son, my youngest brother, Matias. The seven of us were your picture-perfect family. The seven of us were the epitome of a bond, of a unit, of a team, of a family. We were absolutely the happiest people that you could be. We were that picture-perfect family that you can see on the photo behind me. Until one day, everything came to a crash. Until one day, everything changed within the split of a second. Until June 24th, 1994, life as we knew it came to a halt. That day, my brother Luis had gone to see Argentina play in the World Cup in Boston. He went with my parents and his girlfriend, my sister and some friends. And when he came home from Boston, he went to his girlfriend's house. He went there with some friends for a party. And at 5 in the morning, my parents received that deadly telephone call that is every parent's worst nightmare. At 5 in the morning, the local police called my parents to say, "Your son has been in a terrible car accident. Please rush to the emergency room right now." My parents and I, and my sister and brothers, rushed to the emergency room, and we were told that my older brother Luis, 18 years old, 2 weeks after he graduated from high school, at the brink of his life, about to enter college and start his manhood, had been in a car accident where he suffered a spinal cord injury. He had been in a car accident where he suffered a spinal cord injury and become paralyzed from the chest down. We were told he was going to spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. He lost all sensation from the chest down, but not only did he lose sensation, he also lost his bladder control, his bowel function, his sexual function. He lost the ability to sweat, which I guarantee you every single one of you in this room takes for granted, but which is hugely important because actually, sweating regulates your body's temperature. My brother had lost the life he had dreamt of. He was told he was going to be bound to this wheelchair and lose the ability to walk for the rest of his life. Now that day, that accident, marked a turning point in my life because it implanted in me a seed to want to make a difference, a seed to want to help my brother and the millions of people out there in the world that are unable to walk like he is. It implanted in me a seed to want to go out and do something about it. But I was very young when my brother had his car accident. I was 12 years old, and I didn't know what form that help would take. I didn't know what that help would look like. I didn't know how that help would metamorphosize into something. And so I went on, living my life as normal as I could, an adolescent and a teenager. But I carried that sorrow and that hurt deep within me. And over the years, that sorrow and that hurt developed into a passion. into a purpose, into a desire to do something. So when I finished my undergraduate studies at Georgetown University, and then I went to the London School of Economics, and when I graduated from there, I did what was expected of most graduates. I went off to look for a job, a stable, secure, high-paying job in the corporate world, actually in the financial city of London. And I went and found myself a job at Goldman Sachs. Now, I'm not here to talk to you about Goldman Sachs and what you hear in the tabloids and the media and in the news, but I'm here to tell you that I was actually that financial analyst sitting behind those hundreds of computer screens, crunching numbers day in and day out. I didn't love what I did. I wasn't particularly happy. I wasn't particularly enthusiastic or excited to get out of bed every morning, but I was doing what was expected of me. I was doing what I thought was right and what I had to do and what would make my parents proud and my sister proud and my brothers proud and my family proud. I was doing what was expected of me, what I thought was the right thing to do. But when the financial market started to unravel in 2008 and the financial world started to collapse as we knew it, I told my boss in Dubai, because I was working out of the Goldman office in Dubai, I need to take a short break. I need to clear my head. I need to go home. I want to go home to Connecticut to see my family. And my older brother, Luis, who was training for the New York Marathon and was swimming in our outdoor pool at home, he was there swimming 140 laps every day. And when I went to see him, I said, Luis, why are you swimming in our outdoor pool at home when it's freezing outside? Because it was beginning of fall in Connecticut, when you could be swimming in the new indoor swimming pool facility at the Greenwich YMCA. The Greenwich YMCA, which is our local community center, 2 minutes from our house, had just spent $40 million renovating its indoor swimming pool facility. And Luis said, let's go check it out. And when we went to check it out, we were flabbergasted. Not only were there 2 steps to get onto the ledge, but there was another flight of 15 steps behind us. How could the YMCA in the United States of America, one of the most progressive nations in the world, $40 million later, not have built a ramp or an elevator? We were shocked. So we started a campaign. We started a community campaign whereby we would write articles in the local newspaper. We would get our friends and family and neighbors involved. We would write petitions and rallies. And we started fighting for wheelchair access. But guess what? I had to go back to my job at Goldman Sachs. And it was back at my job at Goldman Sachs that I realized then and there, my head and my heart is not in this. I have to make a difference. I have to help my brother, and the hundreds of people who like him, and the millions of people who like him, are bound to their wheelchair. And so, I was faced with a crossroads. I could make a right and stay at Goldman Sachs, where I would be safe and secure. And I would be in a stable situation where I would make a lot of money, and I was comfortable. I was comfortable, and I was happy knowing that I was safe and secure. But I wasn't really happy in doing what I was doing. I wasn't eager and excited to get out of bed every morning and conquer the world. Or I could make a left and leave the stability and security of Goldman Sachs and the corporate world behind and venture into the unknown, into the dark unknown, and take a leap of faith and do what I wanted to do and follow that seed, that burning passion and purpose that had grown within my body. And you know what? I was going to make a left. I was going to leave Goldman Sachs to start a foundation, an organization that would fight for disability rights, that would promote awareness for disabilities, and that would fund research to find a cure for paralysis. And so, I left my job at Goldman Sachs. Despite everyone around me thinking I was crazy because Lehman Brothers had just collapsed, and people were losing their jobs left, right, and center, and people were getting fired, and I was going to raise my hand voluntarily and say, I quit. But you know what? I couldn't ignore that passion and that purpose, that seed that had been implanted within me years before. And so I ventured deep into the unknown. I ventured into that black hole where I had no idea what I was doing, but I started the Walkabout Foundation, an organization to fund research to find a cure for paralysis, to fight for disability rights, and to promote awareness for disabilities by donating wheelchairs to kids and people in need all over the world. But people ask me, how are you going to fund this? How are you going to fund your own lifestyle? How are you going to set out to fund your mission and your goals and what the organization wants to set out to accomplish? It's called Walkabout. It's about walking. It's about empowering people to walk again. So I thought, let's go on a walk and let's get people to sponsor us. And let's go on a challenging walk that is not an easy walk, but actually inspires people and gets people to sponsor us for every step that we take. And so Luis and I set out to walk the Camino de Santiago de Compostela. We walked 900 kilometers, walked and cycled 900 kilometers respectively for 31 days until we reached Santiago. That walk not only garnered unprecedented attention by the media, by publicity, by newspapers, by radio, because my brother became the first person in the history of Spain to cross the entire country with just the use of his two arms. But it also started walks across borders, walks around the world. A year later, we did a walk in Tuscany, a marathon a day for 10 straight days, and then we did a walk in London, in Hyde Park, where thousands of people came out to promote our cause. We did a walk in Lahore in Pakistan, where thousands of students got together, made their own Walkabout t-shirts to spread our message. We did a walk in the Dominican Republic, and most recently, we just did a really fun Halloween walk in Regent's Park in London, 5 kilometers. Hundreds of people came out in their Halloween costumes to promote our message. So with the money that we've raised from these walks, we are also donating these rugged and rough terrain wheelchairs to kids and people in need all over the world. There are wheelchairs that you will see are made of all bicycle parts, so that if parts break down in any village, in any community, anywhere in the world, they can be easily accessed. And I envision a world where these wheelchairs, these blue wheelchairs, create a blanket, a sea, an ocean that crosses borders. Because a life is a life no matter how you look at it. And a wheelchair is not just a wheelchair. A wheelchair signifies mobility. And mobility signifies freedom and independence. So we've gone to Haiti, where we've donated thousands of chairs, and where we're actually now setting up a factory that will employ people with disabilities. We've gone to Kenya, where you can see this girl behind me who doesn't have access to a wheelchair. And by not having access to a wheelchair, she has to be transported around her community by her parents, her friends, her family members, the community workers. By not having access to a wheelchair, she doesn't have the mobility to get around and move around, and she's an economic burden on her family, on the society, and at the world at large. But by giving her a wheelchair, not only are we giving her mobility, we're also giving her joy and pride. She is now the pride and joy of her community. Every single wheelchair that we give is individually fitted to each and every person. We adjust the footrest, the leg rest, the backrest, the seat width, the seat depth. And there are 5 wheel axle positions that gets changed depending on the experience of the rider. We go with a team of individuals to individually fit every single beneficiary to every single wheelchair. We've gone all over the world doing this. All over Africa, from Ghana, where I was there last week, to Sudan, where I'm going next week, to Rwanda, Malawi, to Haiti, the Dominican Republic, to Pakistan, to Chile. And every single chair makes a tangible difference in someone's life. We were in Pakistan, as I mentioned just now, where we donated 300 wheelchairs, a 40-foot container full of chairs. But Pakistan, a country that has tension, that has a sensitive relationship with the United States. We're an American foundation, an American NGO going into Pakistan to donate wheelchairs. And guess what? The day that we went into Pakistan to donate wheelchairs, the day that the American ambassador held a reception for us, was the day that Osama bin Laden's house was being demolished. And on the cover of Islamabad Times the next day was a picture of Osama bin Laden's house being demolished next to American NGO Walkabout Foundation comes to donate wheelchairs to kids and adults in need. So we're not just about giving a charitable donation. We're actually about bridging the gap between borders, bridging the cultural divide that exists between countries, bridging the gap between the East and the West, crossing those borders because a life is a life. Doesn't matter where you come from, what race you are, what religion you are, what gender you are. A life is a life. And with every wheelchair donation that we give, we also offer a training program. We train the individual beneficiaries on how to use their new wheelchair. Because many of these people have never, ever sat in a wheelchair before in their lives. But not only are we training the wheelchair riders, we're also training locals. We're training local therapists, occupational and physical, local healthcare workers, local engineers and technicians and mechanics. Because we want to make our program sustainable such that when we leave that country, they will continue to donate and individually adjust and fit every single wheelchair to every single person. So today, I'm a wheelchair mechanic. I'm a therapist, an occupational physical therapist. I'm running an organization around the world where I'm not only the executive director, but I'm also the accountant, the fundraiser, the web designer, the social media guru. I'm all these things. I'm setting up a wheelchair factory. I'm getting into the business of wheelchairs. I'm all these things that I never once thought I would be until I took that leap of faith, until I crossed that professional border. But I love what I do. I'm inspired by what I do. I wake up every single morning happy and excited and eager to get out of bed and conquer the world because I love what I do, because I'm passionate about what I do, because I followed that seed that was implanted within me and that dream to get out there and do what I wanted to do and not let anyone tell me otherwise. So I want to take 1 millisecond and ask you all for 1 second to be selfish and think about what you do. Do you love what you do? Are you happy doing what you do? Is there a dream that you had set out to do long ago that you think you can do, but you're not actually doing? Think about it. At the end of the day, we are all designed to reinvent and recreate ourselves over and over again for the evolution of our souls. Thank you.
Thank you.